Hi, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks, and welcome to the session on transforming meetings. And I'm going to first share some of the tips that Lee and I have learned over the years from great meetings, which will serve you well. Firstly, planning and preparation. And preparation prevents particularly poor performance, the 5 Ps, as we say. So prepare well for your meetings. You turning up at the last minute means it's going to be a disastrous meeting if you've done no preparation before. Time spent in preparation is never wasted is a military maxim that we used to have when I was in the army. And Churchill said, I'm sorry, this is a long letter. If I'd spent more time, I would have written a short letter. So make sure you have short and valuable meetings because you've done the preparation beforehand. Send out the agenda 5 working days in advance, minimum. Everyone needs time to think and gather their views beforehand from their colleagues in order to make the meeting a success. In your agenda, tell them the purpose of your meeting in 1 sentence. If you get asked to a meeting, always ask for the purpose of that meeting. And if they haven't got a purpose to it, don't go to the meeting. It will, I promise you, be a disastrous meeting without a sense of purpose and a reason why. Things drift off. Spend time crafting exactly your precise agenda item questions. Turn agenda items into questions. If you do nothing else on meetings, make sure you do that. The Chinese maxim is the quality of the answer depends on the quality of the question. You've sent the agenda item with the agenda item questions in 5 working days in advance. And remember, people have a habit for a Monday morning meeting of giving you stuff on a Saturday or a Sunday, expecting you to work the weekend for that. That's not acceptable. Give them 5 working days. Respect the colleagues. They want to have quality of life too. Clear out the agenda of extra baggage. So you focus on the agenda item questions. Less is more, definitely in this. There's a bit of what worked well and even better if, WWEBI. Always being in every meeting with a quick round. Everybody speaking for about 30 seconds to a minute on what's been working well in their business. If it's another more general meeting, it might be what's working well in their life, or what's working well in their life and their business. But certainly it's a way of connecting with people because people don't speak. People don't join a meeting until they speak, particularly when we're in a virtual medium. In some situations, if you have a problem, then get people to speak about EBI, even better if. What would make it even better if we did it? In a meeting, time is golden is my major comment. Meetings should never be longer than 2 hours. Otherwise, people lose the will to live. And certainly if you're a virtual environment, I find the perfect kind of situation is a 40-minute meeting, a 10-minute break, a 40-minute meeting. It's a great way of running it. Ensure people do the pre-reading before the meeting and never take them through the information you sent them. Tell them that you assumed you've read it already. They may not do it the first time, but they'll get the message after that in the way that you run your meetings. Trim your meetings down by building in 10 minutes at the beginning for you to do your preparation before you go into the meeting or before you go into the call. And also end your meeting 10 minutes early, so that you have time to write up some notes before you go into your next meeting, which is probably on the hour. Everybody else appreciates that because they're probably in hour-long back-to-back meetings. So meetings that normally start from 2 till 3, tell them it's going to start at 10 past 2 and it's going to finish at 2:50. You can still run a good meeting and they will be grateful that it has discipline to it. Equality. Equality means everyone takes equal share of the time available. So everybody's voice is heard. It's really important for the diversity and inclusion that people's voices are heard and people don't bang on. You can have an hourglass or a stopwatch, which will help you. I talked about purpose. Come back to it again and again. Why are you having the meeting? And then there's a mnemonic called Dan's ad, or there was in a scenario with one of the guys whose name was Dan. He was about to become a father, so we called it Dan's a dad. But Dan's ad or Dan's a dad, decision, what's the decision? What's the action? What's the next step? Who's going to be accountable? And what is the delivery deadline of when that's got to be done? Dan's, D-A-N-S-A-D-D. Keep focus. Keep a laser-like focus so everybody does their best thinking and make these decision actions and next steps. And I think the main point is it's the hard, it's the, yeah, it's the hard neuroscience behind the soft skills. So a thinking environment with 10 components that makes you think well will help everybody to do their finest thinking and make sure people don't assault each other's thinking. They take it in turns and there's a gentle pause between each. So enough of that on the tips. Let's look at if you're doing what I call a transforming meeting in the thinking environment. Here it is at a glance and some of the ways to run it. Firstly, you're going to get everybody on the call or in the room, and you're going to welcome them. You're going to appreciate a quality about them as a team and what the purpose is of the meeting. That's the way to always begin. Welcome, appreciation of the team and the purpose of the meeting. Restate it. It was written in your agenda, but restate it, so they know they're in the right meeting and they've got something to add. Begin with an opening or what we call a success round question, which is a positive reflection on work, on the group, or on an issue. And it was, as I said to you in those tips I gave you beforehand, it might be what's working well in your bit of the business. Why are we focusing on appreciation and what's working well? It lights up the prefrontal cortex. It's called the left ventral lateral prefrontal cortex. And that's where your higher order thinking goes on. That lights up in the environment of appreciation and what is working. Reality has what is working as what's not working. But remember that by just getting things going in a way that you light up their mind, they're much more receptive to their finest thinking. So you're going to do the first agenda item and you'll confirm what the agenda item question is. It might be, how do we save 10% from our budget for the coming year? What should be our top 3 priorities for our strategy? Whatever it might be, clearly present that and no PowerPoint. Avoid PowerPoint if you can. You might have sent stuff to them, say, look, have it to one hand, but I'm not going to take the screen up or have a PowerPoint shining at the end of the room, because there might be people online, people offline, people in the room. I want you to have it in front of you if there's any materials that you have, but keep it as minimal as you can. You sometimes can have a clarification round. Any questions on the question, not about more context or details digging deep, but what they mean by the question. So make sure you've checked out your question beforehand with other people, that they get and understand what you mean by the question. So you got the question. They've been giving it 5 working days in advance. So they've all been thinking about it beforehand, and they maybe even gathered thoughts from their colleagues. And you're going to then do a round. We've talked about rounds before, but who wants to begin? We'll go clockwise, or who wants to begin? We'll go anti-clockwise. What is your freshest thinking on how do we save 10% from our budget in the next 6 months? A minute each, off you go. And so the first person volunteers, fine, thanks, James. We'll begin with James and go to going anti-clockwise, which means Susan will be next. And so you go round the room, everybody's speaking, no one interrupting. And when it comes to you as the chair, probably say pass, I'll go last. So when you've done a complete round, you play back your freshest thinking from what you've heard everybody say, and it might be your first draft, decision, action, next step, who's accountable to delivery deadline, or it can be your freshest thinking for then another round. Or you could have a discussion. We'll talk about discussion later. And a discussion is, it can go anywhere in the room. People don't put their hand up. This is not school. Just one person speaks, keeps it to a minute, and then looks for the next person to go next. Sometimes you can have the speaking pen. Whoever has the pen or a stick or whatever it is, they can speak, no one else can. And when they've finished, they're looking for someone else to take it from them, and they pass it across if you're in a circle of chairs, which is often a great way of having a transforming meeting without a table in the way, no obstacles, but you're sitting in a room in a circle of chairs. However, if you're worried about, contaminating each other with that, you can just pass it metaphorically across the room or virtually if you're on a video. So you do a round, you might have a discussion, and then you have a round. It can go on with lots of rounds of discussions, but time is often short. So you're probably only going to have around maybe discussion, and the discussion will go on for a while, and you'll find the same characters will tend to be speaking. So that's the moment to go, time out. Let's do a final round of your freshest thinking before I make the first draft, Dan's ad, decision action, next step, who's accountable, delivery deadline. So you make that, and you're looking for their level of commitment. So who is committed to that? Thumbs up. Partly there, thumbs sideways, and against it, thumbs down. Those are all thumbs up. Say thank you for that. Thumbs sideways, just stay, keep your hands where they are so I can see you on screen or in person. What will it take to make it a thumbs up? James, Richard. So hear them all out. Don't answer back. Just hear them all out. Go all the way around of what it will take to make it a thumbs up. Sometimes the people are rabidly against it and they'll never change, but you just can confirm, do you feel you've been heard? And they go, yes. And if not, if they feel they haven't been heard, say, so what else would make you feel like you have been heard? You've finished that complete round. You've done your first draft. You might have now second draft. So with the comments that people have made, I'll make a couple of changes in my second draft, which is, this is the decision, this is the action, this is the next step, this is who's going to be accountable, and this is the delivery deadline. Where are you now? Now, some will have gone different ways, but you're hoping to get as many as you can to commit to a thumbs up. And that is the decision that is recorded. Even the person who disagreed, you need to just check they feel they've been heard, but you go, this is a cabinet decision. And when you leave the room and you go out, you represent this as if it's your own decision. You don't say, they all thought that was a good idea, but I disagreed, because that's rank disloyalty. Disagree in the meeting, but don't be disagreeable. But when you go out of the meeting, take the decision that the team has taken as if it's your own. That's fine leadership. Now, if you find again and again and again, you're always disagreeing with your team, one, you're in the wrong team, and two, you need to have a courageous conversation with the boss about the way things are going in the future, one-on-one. So you finish that agenda item question. It probably might, if it's a good strategic question, might take about 40 minutes to deal with that and get that first draft, second draft where people are committed. And that's what gets recorded. You don't need all the discussions that people go back and forth recording. Just record the outcome that you've got there. Then you do the next agenda item question in the same way. And then your meeting, probably 2 40-minute sessions, is coming to an end. And so you do a burning issues round. I don't know whether you've been in a meeting, I certainly know I have, where you finish the meeting and you think, what's the next meeting going to be about? And in between, you or someone in the team sends a note out saying, please, can we have some topics for the next meeting? It never works. No one bothers to reply. They're too busy. But if you have this burning issue round, it's really good. And so you say, what is an issue that is a burning issue that we haven't discussed today that we need to discuss at the next meeting? If you have nothing, say pass. And you go around the room, this gets recorded. And from that, you as the chair can say, of those, I think the key one that we must discuss at the next meeting is this one. Your level of commitment to that, get a thumbs up, sideways or down, just to make sure you haven't misread and you've got the wrong burning issue. But that becomes your agenda item question for your next weekly, bi-weekly meeting, whatever it might be. And then you have a closing round. You end the transforming meeting with a closing round, which is an appreciation of the meeting and your colleagues. Sometimes you can say, please appreciate a quality about the person anti-clockwise to you, or clockwise to you, or to the left of you, or to the right of you. And please share your appreciation of one thing that worked well about this meeting, because then you know what you can leverage for next time. And also you're getting people to leave on a high with thinking about things that have worked well. So transforming meetings, an incredibly powerful tool. And your job as a leader is to have meetings and make decisions. Updates are not good enough. That's not a really good reason for a meeting. You've got to make some decisions. So do your job, be a fine leader, and create a transforming meeting.